Hello, general math students. Today we are going to work on percent of change. We're going to start with the usual. There's going to be a difference in vocabulary, but again, not really teaching anything brand new. However, this one is a little tricky, so be careful. Please make sure you have your notebooks out. Notebooks and pencils so that you can take notes because you are going to want to remember some of this stuff. So let's go ahead and start with our notes. Percent of change. A percent of change is the ratio of the amount of change to the original amount. So this is going to be one side of our proportion. We're going to talk about if the original amount goes up, then it's an increase. If it goes down, it's a decrease. So what your proportion is going to look like is, again, you're going to have your percent over 100, but then we're going to have this on the other side. The change, the amount of change goes on the top. The original goes on the bottom. So it doesn't look too different, but be careful. Some of these are going to be harder. Some of them are just tricky. So pause the video if you need to finish up with the notes, and then start it back up when you're ready. So let's go ahead and do the example. And I'm always going to look for the original price, and I'm going to call that number 1. And then the new price or the new amount, I'm going to call that 2. And then I'm going to look for the change, okay? And I'm going to do this first before I do anything else. Beth bought a $75 pair of jeans for $60. So they started out at $75. She bought it for $60. So our change is $15. 75 minus the 60 is 15. So I'm going to start with that. Now I'm going to set up my proportion, and it wants me to find the percent of change and whether it's an increase or decrease. So I know that my percent is what I want to find. Remember, the change goes on top, so that would be 15, and the original goes on the bottom, which would be the 75. So once you have that set up, it should be a fairly easy problem to do. So let's see, 75 divided by 5 gives me 15. 100 divided by 5 gives me 20. So this is a 20% change, and it went from 75 down to 60, so it was a decrease. So that's your whole answer. It's a 20% decrease. These are probably going to be the hardest of our problems today just because they don't come out to a whole percent. We're going to round it to the nearest tenth, okay? So again, I want the original, the new price, and the change. We're going to start with that. John went from weighing 140 pounds to 150. So he started at 140. He went to 155. My change then is, I believe, 15. So that's my change. So we're going to use that. Now, let's set up the proportion. And again, I want the percent. It says find the percent. So the change goes on top, which was 15. The original goes on the bottom, which was 140. So I'm going to do 140 divided by 15 to see if that comes out nice, which it doesn't. So that way is yucky. Don't use that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this decimal point over twice, and I'm going to get 1 4/10. So I'm going to do 140 divided by 1 4/10, which will give me 100, I do believe. So I'm going to take 15 divided by 1 4/10. And you're going to get a long, ugly decimal. So it's 10 and 714, and keeps on going. We're going to round it to nearest tenth. So this 1 doesn't do anything to change it. My decimal plus a tenth, percent, and he went up. So it is an increase. Okay, let's try number 2. These are, remember, like I said, these are the toughest. Original, new, and the change. We're going to do that first. The computer that sold for $118 last month sold for $925 this month. So the original amount is the $815. The new amount is $925. So if I do $925 minus $815, I get a change of $110. So then let's come down here. Our change is $110. Our original amount is $815. And again, if I try this, I get an ugly decimal. I'm not going to use it. I'm going to move my decimal point over, and because I'm going smaller, I am going to divide. So 815 divided by 8.15, or 8 and 15 hundredths, that gives me 100. So now I'm going to do 110 divided by 8 and 15 hundredths. And again, I get an ugly decimal, but we're using this as percents. 13.496 keeps on going. Here's my tenth. This 4 does, whoops. Hold on, guys. I made a mistake. I goofed here. I did that 3 a second time when I shouldn't have. It is 13.496. There we go. So round it to the 4, but the 9 changes it. So it's 13 5/10%. And again, it is an increase. So there's my answer. Tell you what, let's get a little easier. We're still going to be doing the same thing, but we're going to do a little bit easier. So we have original amount, a new amount, and the change. Last year, the debate team had 25 members. There's our original amount. This year, the club has 18. That's our new amount. So I already know it's going to be a decrease because it's going down. If we subtract, we find out it's going down by 7. So let's set up a proportion down here. 7 is our change. 25 is our original amount. I'm just going to do the easy way. 25 times 4 gives me 100. 7 times 4 gives me 28. So it is a 28% decrease. Let's do it again. Original, new, and change. And I would recommend doing this every single time because that's going to help you fill in your proportion down here at the bottom. Karen's old car got 25 miles. There's our original. Her new car gets 31 miles per gallon. That's the new amount. So I'm going from 25 to 31, so I know it's going to be an increase. If I subtract, I get 6. So let's set up our proportion. 6 is our change. Our original is 25, and I want the percent. So again, let's go the easy way. 25 times 4 gives me 100. 6 times 4 gives me 24. This was a 24% increase. Let's do a few more just to make sure. A tree, again, original, new, and change. A tree was 10 feet tall. There's our original. It grew by 5 feet, so that's our change. So the new would be 15 if we needed it, but it says what percent has it grown? So we're going to set up our proportion. Our change goes on top. Our original goes on the bottom. Let's see, 10 divided by 2 gives me 5. 100 divided by 2 gives me, it is a 50%, and it grew, so we know it's going to be an increase. And there's our answer. Most of the problems you're going to do are going to be easier like this one. Let's do it again. We have new, original, sorry. I'm going to change those around. Let's make sure we're always doing the original and then the new. Original, new, and then the change. Sorry about that. A plant was 12 inches tall. That's our original. It has grown to be 15. That's our new. If we subtract 15 minus 12, we got a change of 3, and we know it's an increase because it grew, so we know it's going to be an increase. So set up our proportion. We want the percent. It changed by 3. The original amount was 12. So when we solve this, what do we do to 12 to get 3? We're going to divide by 4. 100 divided by 4, we have a 25% increase. Okay. More. Let's hope we get this one. Here's one where we're going to have to find something else. It wants to know how much he's going to get each week this year, okay? So let's do this. Our original amount, our new amount, and our change. Alan's parents increased his weekly allowance by 10% from last year. Well, we set up our proportion. We know the 10 is going to go over 100. Last year, he got $20 a week. That's the original. So that's going to go on the bottom. So we got to find how much it's changing. So we can do it 100 divided by 5 gives me 20. I can do 100 divided by 10 gives me 10. Either way, divide by 5. Either way, we're going to get 2. So the change is 2. Well, they said they increased it, so the new original amount plus the change, he's getting $22 a week this year. This one we're going to do twice because we have to do Mariah and we have to do Alex. They both started exercising and each lost 8 pounds. I want to know the percent for each person. So let's use red for Mariah and blue for Alex. Okay, so let's do Alex. We know he lost 8. That's our change. Alex weighed 200 pounds, so that's going to go on the bottom. So let's go ahead and solve this. 200 divided by 2 gives me 100. 8 divided by 2 gives me 4. So he lost 4%. Let's do Mariah. Again, she lost 8. And she started out weighing 160 pounds. Let's see, 160 divided by 8. I'm going to divide by 20. So 100 divided by 20, she lost 5%. So Mariah lost more if we were asked that, but we just found the percentages. Last one, okay? Original, new, and change. Last year, the library ordered 200 books. That's the original. This year, it ordered 180. Well, we know it's going to be a decrease because it went down. 200 minus 180, our change is 20. So we got to find what is the percent of change. Set up our proportion. The change is 20. The original was 200. Let's see, 200 divided by 2 gives me 100. 20 divided by 2, that gives me 10. We got a 10% decrease. So your homework is after this in Go Formative. It is the 5.11 homework. We're going to be reviewing it in class or teaching it in class, depending upon which cohort. But feel free to message me if you have any questions. Have a great day.